welcome back to From the Halls of Justice. And I forgot to add, I was so excited because Judge Filer just gave us some breaking news. I saw on television my new mantra that I'm going to be chanting for the year, along with my other battle cries that I have, is that the sky is not the limit, it's just the view. What's her name? Taraji P. Taraji P. Henson. Yes, that's what she said the other night on Black Girls Rock. She said the sky is not the view, it's the limit. So
the sky is not the limit,
it's the view.
Now yes. That's hers, right?
Well. She said it. So since she said it, and at least I should get it right. Yeah, the sky is not the limit, it's
just the view.
The view. Yes. So I really like that. I'm like, here we go. So let's go. We're going to start off with the baby girl. Miss Kree. And I would like to know, because you are working with Mr. Lance. Yes. Now, I like this. They say, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. I like that. Mm-hmm. So, now that you're a practicing attorney, would you still say that's true?
He hasn't done it long.
Yes. But I will say, working in an environment that you love makes the work worth it. So there are moments when I'm doing the work that I don't love it. Okay. But I could not ask for a better work environment. And so that really helps the hours go by and just making it a lot more worth it, because I'm surrounded by a team of people, which Lance and Justin, whenever I call them my boss, they say we work together. I'm not, but they're still my boss. Right. But it really is a team environment, and so everybody will stay late to make sure that something gets done. We'll have meetings and everybody will be talking about a project, and so being in that environment, it really makes the work worth it.
That's right. That's absolutely.
And Wanda, something we talked about before the show today. Now, of course, Kree's new to the practice. Mm-hmm. You were talking about the paralegal education. Now, you had to take all these other classes other than the classes that you might have wanted to work in.
Yes.
Well, the same thing is true with the legal education. And so, if Kree decides, hey, I want to do something else, she can do it. And not only even in the practice of law, teaching, government jobs, politics. Those are all offshoots of, to me, your legal education. So, but Kree, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. She just hasn't done it long enough yet.
Yeah. Well, I found out, at least when going to paralegal school, I hated bankruptcy. Yeah. I mean, I did it, but it took a long time.
I've been practicing law 33 years. I've never done a bankruptcy. Don't come to me for help with the bankruptcy, because I'm not going to be able to help with the bankruptcy.
And now, for me, though, I can stand family law.
Yeah.
Really?
Lance, on the other hand, has developed an affinity for family law, and especially, and I do think it's smart on his part to focus in on fathers' rights, because there aren't a lot of attorneys who are doing that. And so I think Lance has indicated that's one of the areas that he wants to make his trademark, which is a smart approach. But more power to him.
Yes.
Because I couldn't do it.
Well, the other day, like I said, when we went down to the Metropolitan Courthouse to have the charge expunged from my son's record, for a minute, I was sitting there, and because I'm a family law paralegal, and they had a trial going on that day, and the judge had called, one case after the other on the case docket, and then he said, I'm going to call the custody. And so for me, I'm sitting there thinking, oh, they got child custody in here, And then when the guy came out in handcuffs, I'm like, oh, that custody, totally different, So yes. Like I said, I was attracted to, when I was younger, the criminal, the idea of being a criminal attorney, but they say that you see the criminal practice, people at their best, and family law, good people at their worst. And because people can get ugly over their children.
Absolutely.
Oh, I teach, the first night of my family law class, I tell them a couple of things about family law. First of all, I tell them there are no winners.
Okay, that's true.
It really should be called unfamily law. And then the other thing is, this area of law, the emotions run the highest, higher than
Yes.
criminal law, higher than any other area of law. So be prepared if you're going to work in the family law arena to understand that that's what you're going to be dealing with. So
Yes.
people are coming to you, and they're in a crisis, a personal crisis, a mental crisis, a social crisis, a family crisis, and so they're looking to you for help. So you have to understand that's a part of being a family law attorney.
And things are always changing in family law.
Always changing.
I like that. You're never bored.
Yeah.
I was doing someone's discovery that you could tell they really didn't want to get divorced.
Yeah.
And from doing the discovery on the schedule of assets and debts, it will tell you very clearly, C is for community, P is for petitioner, R is for respondent. And then now they've got a new thing where, of course, if it was yours before marriage and then it was combined or commingled during the marriage, now it's PC, petitioner community, and then RC, respondent community, and it's like, oh, okay, fine, that's cool, but you better disclose everything.
Because
Yeah.
California is famous for the lady who did not disclose her lottery winnings.
Judge Dinner,
That's
yes,
right. And
yes, he was on the show.
Gave it all up. Gave
Yes,
the entire
yes.
$1.5 million to her husband because she
That's
didn't disclose it.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, she was happy for a reason. Okay. So we like that. Now let's see. I want to go with, now this one, you're doing really good. They're going to run you in politics and everything. We're going to have a wedding. We're going to have everything. And what made you, it's a great area of law, by the way, because I do have a son. Why did you choose to make father's rights one of your practice areas?
Well, I noticed when I first started doing a lot of family law work that there was, as my uncle said, extreme emotions and extreme frustrations. And I noticed that particularly from the father's perspective, I never wanted the courtroom to be a barrier to them,
Okay.
or a barrier to seeing your child or to reunify your family. And many times the frustration level would boil over not just with the other person, I mean, it'd be a frustration with the judge, the other person's attorney, with the process. And I just want to work so that that's not a barrier. If you want to see your child, you can work with me, Kree, and our firm, and we'll do everything we possibly can to make sure that the court is not going to be a barrier to you, but an asset to you, to understand that there can be some sort of civil co-parenting that can take place, and that fathers have just as many rights as mothers.
That's important. That's very important. And that's why, raising my son, it was important for me to instill in him that, as they say, don't get mad, go to court. The fisticuffs, we can handle this man to man. No, go to court, baby. It'll be better if you go to court. It's all good. Now, one of the other things, I like that, what has been the most challenging part of running a business for you?
The business of law and the practice of law are two very different challenges.
Very good.
And many times the business of law will sometimes overshadow the practice of law. And running your own business, you deal with the situation where I would love to just sit back and practice law. I mean, that'd be great. But I also have to worry about the business of law, which is something that I also enjoy. One of my majors in undergrad was electronic business. And I enjoy the entrepreneurial aspect of running a practice, and that I have the ability to employ people and give people an opportunity is something I think I'm most proud of. I think back to my own experience. Every time I've heard someone tell me you're hired or you can start work here, there's some sort of weight that was always lifted off my chest. I always felt that's great. Like even for a second, you feel like everything's going to be okay. And I always thought if I can employ people, and now I've been so fortunate I've been able to employ a handful of people, and I just really take that to heart to do my best to see if I can provide jobs for the community and also help the community at the same time.
That's beautiful. And we know you have a partner, so you can tell us a little bit. The other question is, are you a sole practitioner?
No, I run a partnership right now with myself and Justin Palmer being the other partner of FILER Palmer. That's where the Palmer comes from.
Okay.
And we had similar interest in undergrad. We joined the same fraternity, and we kept in contact and had similar interest. And things just worked out perfectly where we were both decided that we had made a lot of money for other people, and we had done a lot of work for other people. And we thought, why not us? If someone else can do it and someone else has to try, why not us? I had the foundation of seeing my uncle run his own practice and employ people as well, and I thought, why not us? And he's always encouraged me to hang out your shingle, as they say.
He encourages a lot of people.
And I saw that he was able to employ, my grandmother was an employee of my uncle as well. And
She was the boss.
That's right.
My mother would like you.
And just the change it could be. And I always felt kind of an entrepreneurial spirit in being a business owner. And I can do two of my passions in one. And it just feels great to do so.
Where's your law office located?
Right now it's located in downtown Long Beach, 249 East Ocean Boulevard.
Oh, you're on Ocean.
Yes.
I'm not good with Long Beach. I get lost, but I know where Ocean is. Beautiful. Okay, good. Make some money. Why do you think that legacy is important?
I think legacy is important because it shows people that they can do it. Sometimes, a lot of time, people have this idea that they're not good enough, smart enough, that it just wouldn't happen for them. And I think if they took back and look at the legacy, particularly in the African American community, and the things we've overcome, and the intelligence that it takes to survive. A lot of times people just mark intelligence by the Western ways and things you can fill in the Scantron and standardized tests, but survival is a very, very important component of intelligence. And as a people, we've been survivors forever. So I really think that legacy, if people look at the things we've done, and we've been champions of the courtroom, of the boardroom, and all aspects, whenever the playing field is level, we've been able to achieve. And I just think that it's just very important for us to look at those things as a motivation to go forward and not just stop right there, but push it to the next level.
I like it.
I think if you go and look at, I know for Kelvin and I, our resumes, they don't start with college, they start with Compton Senior High School.
That's right.
And when we talk about our education, we start with Compton Senior High School, and that's important. I got a letter just like last week, and it was a young man who wants to come and volunteer in my office. But he talked about his experiences, and he went on, he talked about how he wanted to come back and help his community. Then he said he went to Compton High School. So, of course, when I responded, I said, Anthony FILER, class of 1976, Compton Senior High School. And, of course, then he responded back with an email all excited. I can't wait to meet you, Mr. FILER. So,
that's right.
But it sounded like one of us when I was reading his letter.
That's amazing, and that's what the beauty in all of this are the people that you protect, communicate with, educate, and inspire. And your dad, your brother, your uncle, he loves his community, just like your dad did. And you got to give so much respect to this gentleman. How has having family members watch the path before been beneficial to you and your clients?
It's been extremely beneficial to myself. I mean, I know it's been beneficial to my clients when I announce my name on the record and I see the judge say, "Are you related to Kelvin FILER, Max FILER?" So I know it's been beneficial to them in that aspect. But it's been beneficial to myself just knowing that it's been done before, and just knowing that it's possible, and knowing that they're proud of me, and that whenever I need anything, I can reach out to them, and they'll be able to tell me because they've been there. There are times being a business owner where you will come to crossroads and you'll need people to tell you, just stick with it.
That's true. That's very true. I like that. Ms. Kree?
Yes.
Do you feel like there's added pressure on your performance as an attorney with so many attorneys and judges in the family?
I do, actually. Being, really following in line, my dad, my uncle, my cousin, my grandpa, they all have amazing reputations that they have worked hard for.
Right.
And so, honestly, for me, coming in, it's been a little easier. It's like I go to push the door, it's open, because they have set that work. And so I feel added pressure. I probably put it on myself, but I feel like it's necessary to make sure that I'm not taking advantage of that. I'm not just, they know FILER, I'm going to use that. I, of course, wear my name proudly, but I feel like I need to make sure that I'm doing the work and continuing the legacy. And so I do feel some pressure because they've all done so well and are continuing to do well. And I'm appreciative of that, but it's like, now I have to make sure I don't drop the ball.
There is no pressure. All we want you to do is do the right thing.
And do your best.
And do your best. That's all we want.
That's all you
and
can
be
do.
happy doing it. That's all we
you can
want.
do. And then let it go.
Yep.
Thank you.
And you do fine.
Girl, you got your own tie that your daddy wears. You're gonna be all right. Okay, it's just in you. It's okay. What has been the biggest surprise or eye-opening moment that you've experienced since becoming an attorney?
Probably learning that attorneys are people too. When you're in law school and you're reading cases and legal documents for the first time, or hearing people talk in court, you can tell which people in the courtroom or courthouse are attorneys by the way that they walk, by the way that they just have a comfort, the way that they talk on the record. And so being new, it can be very intimidating. I remember one of my first appearances, Lance was like, you never have to stand in line again. You just go up, you show your bar card. And I had an appearance last week, and he was like, did you just walk in? I was like, no, I stood in line because it wasn't clear that there was an attorney's line. I'm not used to that yet. But so there's kind of this mystique about the attorney, and then you kind of working in private practice and seeing the other side, like you get certain documents or you have one-on-one conversations with attorneys, and it's like, oh, you guys are people too. Like you don't know everything,
right.
And they make mistakes too. And so that was actually reassuring, because sometimes it's like, how am I going to get to this level where I'm just like them? But part of it, my dad has always said that like being in the courtroom is putting on a performance, and so you have to wear that performance so that it's convincing.
Don't you ever stand in another line again. My mother is 78, and she knows about the power of the attorney line, okay? Once again, she was paying a ticket for her grandson, my son, and she managed to ease up beside this attorney and just stayed with him throughout I was so embarrassed. I stayed in the back. I was thinking, people are going to hurt you. But she was 70, and he just allowed her to stay, with him. So it was the most adorable thing I had ever seen in my life. But yes, girl, please. Okay. Now, Ms. Kree, what is the best advice of words of wisdom that you've received from your other family members? Even though we heard it in unison.
I know. From my dad, it would have to be that it's the practice of law. So it's something that you're always constantly going to be working at, and so there's no need to have it all together right now. That's why they call it the practice of law. For my Uncle Anthony, has been to give back and to make sure that that's a part of the practice, and to always make time to help people who couldn't otherwise afford legal care, legal help. And from Lance, it's to always be the most prepared person in the room. He has stressed that to me multiple times. And for my grandpa, it'd have to be never give up, never ever give up, as he would say. And then
that's for me too. I know.
And then from our Aunt Della, it would have to be call me anytime. And that's another thing in becoming an attorney, and seeing just how much, as I mentioned before, using resources and feeling free to ask people for help. And so being reminded of that, like, just call me if you have a question. And all of, my dad, my uncle, we all live by that, and bouncing ideas off of each other, asking for help. So that would have to be my
That's
list.
really sweet. That one's going to change in a little while. I mean, at least, or it should change to, you can call me anytime between the hours of like maybe 1 and 3, because they will call you. They will. They will call you. And if you could have one thing be your signature as an attorney that you're recognized for, what would that be?
It would have to be my hair. And I say that because when I knew that I wanted to be an attorney, I knew that I wanted to wear my hair natural. There's been a misconception about black hair, natural hair in the work world. It gets seen as professional, especially when the hair is kinkier and not just like perfect tendrils, which that's beautiful too. But I knew that when I go into court, or that I wanted to make sure that I wore my hair out and natural, so that it would be seen as professional. And if that's kind of my trademark, is like the attorney with the big hair, I'm completely fine with that.
You are wonderful. Absolutely. Amen, girl. 'Cause let me tell you, once again, a beautiful woman. The one thing I love about her is that Talitha Wagner, she is a beautiful, fashionable woman. And she's just all girly girl in her heels, going to court, really bright, really smart. And we were talking one day and discussing, and they needed, okay, I won't go into what kind, but it's a nice vehicle, but she needed some tires for her car. So she called her husband and said, honey, I need tires. And tires were $800. So, and that wasn't for 4, that was for 2. Oh. And so I'm thinking, look, I go to the little guy down the street and I can pick up 2 tires for, each of them are $35 to $55 and the whole thing. And, but I thought that was amazing. But when it comes to my hair, sweetie, it's $1,000. And I don't blink. I don't care. Yes, it is. So some things we just don't, worry about. Anyway, so I believe I was really amazed, and I would like to know, what do you think, Mr. Anthony Filer, what is the most rewarding about the type of law, and I can almost guess what you're going to say, right, that you do.
For me, it's that I was able to do it and provide it to the people that in our community, and especially in my hometown, in the community where I live, in the surrounding communities, provided to the people that most needed help with legal problems and weren't able to afford attorney. So that has been the most rewarding thing for me as far as a practice. But then also as a teacher, inspiring other individuals to do it and go on and become attorneys and become paralegals, and again, always give back when you're doing that. So for me, that's always been the most rewarding part of it. I didn't get rich, and believe me, I have had friends who have started working with me. They went to law school with me. People that I've mentored who are making a lot more money than I make, but that's great, and I'm happy for them. Mm-hmm. But I've always enjoyed doing what I do.
So, what is public interest law?
It's providing services in a situation where you're not going to make money. So these are not cases that attorneys are going to make money on. Mm-hmm. So government benefits, family law cases where neither side has any money to pay an attorney. Mm-hmm. Housing only primarily on the tenant side, doing lawful retainer defense work. Consumer issues where people have been ripped off, they've had their house stolen, they've been sued for not being able to pay on their credit cards. Those are things that an attorney is not going. These people don't have anybody. That's why they're in trouble, and so they don't have anybody to fight for them. And so public interest law is interested in the interest of the public. You should do it. We don't, in criminal cases, you have a constitutional right to have an attorney. Mm-hmm. Civil cases, that's not true. So that's what we feel in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yes, because if you're in criminal court, you need to get an attorney.
And you have a right to have counsel represent you if you're charged with something that could end up in you being incarcerated.
Okay.
But
Wow.
civil cases, there's nothing like that. So that's what public interest law is. The areas of law where realistically a private attorney could not make money off the case, and these people definitely still need help. So what's the mechanism to get them help? Public interest attorneys do those types of things. So,
How did you get there like this? You should be a minister, a preacher.
That's part of it too. I mean, that's part of it too. I mean, that you have collaborations with the churches and the social service agencies and the other entities like that, because we all understand that that's what the idea is. And then if we can do cases that not only benefit our client, but also result in a change in the way things are done, that's very, very rewarding. So legal aid agencies are often the agencies that are doing these class action lawsuits. Nobody else would do it, to say, hey, why are you penalizing people with the government benefits when this happens, for example? The law should change. Hey, why are you able to do this to somebody who's receiving a housing subsidy? This should change. And so they take those cases and they not only benefit that client, but they result in a change of the law too.
And ironically, you mentioned being a pastor. Now, we've talked about my dad, of course, but my mom also had a very, very big influence on all of us. And whereas my father had this dedication to the law and this commitment to using the law to fight for others, my mother had a heart of gold and didn't know how to say no to anyone who needed help.
Oh my God.
And I really think that that's partly reflected in Anthony's commitment to his clientele.
Is that where you got it from?
I think that's part of it. And I also think it's the same thing with me. My office, my chambers, my courtroom, it's always open. Almost every other day at least. I have some student, high school, college, or law student who walks in who just wants to sit in the back and watch because I've invited them there. And after I'm through with the court, they're going to come back in, and I need about 45 minutes so I can talk to them about what it takes to go to law school and the options if you decide to go to law school, because that's just part of our commitment to giving something back to others. And that was instilled by both of our parents, but my mother was an angel, and that has always stuck with me and resonated in my heart as well.
Yeah, and Lance and Kree won't have a chance to experience because their grandma is no longer with us, but I know Kelvin, my father, myself, believe me, I've gotten hundreds of calls where your mama told me to call you. She said you can do this to help me. So but we're gonna give you guys those calls.
Yeah, I was like, we won't get into
In fact, we used to laugh because my mother was the secretary / manager of my law office, but we know for sure she was literally practicing law. Because people would call us and say, well, I talked to that lawyer who worked in the front desk talking about my mother.
Oh my God, that is wonderful. That is wonderful. Well, I know sort of the part of the story to this, but Mr. Anthony, what type of changes have you seen in the legal profession since you first started to now? And I know you mentioned some things earlier, and your brother has done some magnificent things. So what would you say?
The system itself, I think that it sort of is caught up with what I do. In other words, for example, there was a time when if you went to the court and you were looking for help, hey, it was like a brick wall. I can't give advice, it's against the law. Now we have self-help centers. We operate a self-help center at the Compton Courthouse. I operate 2 domestic violence clinics at the courthouse, providing free services to people for domestic violence issues. So I've definitely seen the profession as an entity itself reach out to the community and to provide services that otherwise they realize that people cannot afford attorneys. And so I've seen the profession sort of grasp that too and make sure that people have access, at least access to the courts and access to be able to present their side of the story. And I've seen that definitely change over the years.
And attorneys are expensive,
They are expensive. And
you know
there's nothing
what,
wrong with
and they're
it.
worth it.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
they are worth it.
Yeah.
I know, like I said, a gentleman that he focused on modest means, and it was very encouraging. And his hourly rate was lower. But even if his hourly rate was at $198 and $175, that's a lot of money to a person doing a 9 to 5 and feeding a family of 2 or 3 or 4 and paying rent, a mortgage if you're lucky. So it's just a lot of money. So I thank God for you. I thank God for the FILER family. I think that you are the most magnificent group of people I have met.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And 6 seconds. Thank you so much for joining us on From the Halls of Justice. Please tune in and stay encouraged. The sky is not the limit. It's the view.
You know?
I like that. It's cool.
And you are the proof of it. I mean, my goodness. And Mr. This is no charge is just absolutely amazing.
I'm lucky I was able to do that.
It's totally amazing. And I'm just in awe.